Yes, the Sharks are not in the playoffs for the second year in a row, but there are still playoffs. This time only in May. Whew, thank gosh. We'll talk about all 8 series. We'll talk about tonight's game between Bruins and Caps and everything between playoff-wise right now. This is Teal Town Live. Good evening, everyone. It is Saturday night, March 15th, 2021, and the Stanley Cup Playoffs are underway. Yes, there's still the regular season still going on between Vancouver and, Edmonton, Calgary, whatever. But welcome to, right? I mean, it's true, folks. Welcome to Teal Town Live. This is our live interactive preview show. We appreciate each and every one of you coming. So, you know what? Why not? I mean, really. Dangle, when did you say why not?
Why not?
Thank you very much. Join us and be a part of the show and interact with us and fellow hockey fans around the world on the YouTube page or the YouTube app. Of course, follow us on the social, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Hit that subscribe button right there. SoundCloud, Reddit, Discord, and find everything at tealtownusa.com. Good evening, everyone. It's been a while. Good to see you. I'm joined by Ian Reed.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. So, what did you think of that first game? Game 1 between Capitals and Bruins.
That was a good game. Yeah, it was. I mean, I caught the end of it. I didn't catch the whole game, but I did catch the end of it. I mean, it was fun, right? Like playoffs are fun, and it's nice to see like that. Looks like it's going to be a good series. Yeah, I mean, so far so good.
Yeah, Brendan Dillon getting a goal that gave the Capitals a brief 2-1 lead. Nick Dowd getting a tip off of TJ Oshie's shot to get the game-winning goal to give the Caps a 1-0 lead in the series. But Vanacek going down to injury. Craig Anderson, the number 3 goaltender for Washington, going in. It's only game 1. Thankfully, the opening game didn't go 5 overtimes like last year's, or, 6 months ago, I guess.
Yeah.
No, 6. About 7 months ago. Yeah. 8, 9, whatever. It's 2021, all right? Just give us a little bit here. So as we mentioned, we'll review all 8 series. We'll start off with Capitals and Bruins in a little bit. But, one of the things that we always like to mention here, yes, we are a Shark-centric broadcast. Yes, the Sharks are not in the playoffs. But there's...
Wait, what?
Oh, my bad. Spoiler alert.
Oh, damn.
Oh boy. Well, we just lost Ian. All right, but there are guys who've had Sharks ties or Bay Area ties to this team. Going down here and looking at Sean Corrali, the pick that got us to get who was it? Martin Jones. Oh,
Martin Jones. Yeah,
that went well. One thing I didn't put in here: Charlie Coyle, the pick. The prospect that went the other way for Brent Burns in a 3-for-1 deal.
That trade.
I mean, Joachim Ryan. When I was going through this list, I totally forgot Joachim Ryan was a Carolina Hurricane.
So did I until you just let me know. There we go.
I mean, we can now officially, Ian, say we can Joachim Ryan this sort of bitch.
There you go. Yeah, we can Joachim Ryan this. That's amazing.
That's for you, Drew Weber.
There you go.
But, you go through the list here. Obviously, Joe Thornton's probably one of the more prominent names, along with Brendan Dillon, Dylan DeMello.
Mm-hmm.
You have 2 former you have a former Shark and Mike Sullivan, now the head coach of Pittsburgh. You have PDB, and Steve Spott with Vegas. But also, a former San Francisco Bull, Yanni Gourde, trying to go for back-to-back Stanley Cups. You also have, San Ramon native Austin Matthews from Toronto. So there's a lot of representation here in these 2021 playoffs, even though the Sharks aren't in it, there are plenty of Sharks and Sharks prospects and Sharks coaches spread around to root for.
For sure. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's pretty. I'm just looking at the list there. It's pretty decent list. And definitely some guys to cheer for. I'm really glad that you included like absolute Sharks legend Mike Hoffman.
Right?
I like if you didn't include Mike Hoffman, I'd probably been pretty upset. Yeah, I mean it's a pretty good list there. I mean, obviously there's some guys that are a little more near and dear to my heart than others, obviously, right? Like, I mean, God, Nick Bonino. I know he was like a guy that, but I mean, it was so long ago. Like, he's one of those guys that you forget, like, until it's like, oh yeah, he was Sharks property at one point.
Right.
And then like some of the other things, like Sean Corelli. I like Sean Corelli, but I think like, I don't know. If you go back, right, and it's always easy to judge these things way after the fact, but I feel like if you go back to when we traded for Martin Jones, which I was who I was really high on at the time. I know it might come as a shock to people, but I didn't always just have it out, knives out for Martin Jones. But at the time that trade was made, I mean, that was a seller's market for goaltenders, and a lot of guys, a lot of teams paid some pretty significant prices for goaltenders around that time.
Yeah, and I mean, a first in Corrali going the other way. Who knew? I mean, you would get a playoff run like no other that first year, but after that,
for sure.
Yeah. So, all right. So that's who you can root for. Of course, I'm well, we'll show this shirt off a little bit, but let's get at it, shall we? So
where do you want to start?
So we're gonna kind of go through the bracket here too.
Okay.
Which in the sense, because there is a slight alteration to it because of the divisions, but
yes.
that's kind of similar to the same, just no wild card this time around.
Well, no wild card, and the thing is that it seeds all the way through. So there's no conferences this time around,
right.
Which is why they're not giving out the conference trophies, because there's no conferences. Like the final four are just going to get seeded 1 to 4, and that's going to be that.
Right. I mean, that's the first time I've ever seen the Stanley Cup semifinals logo.
Right. Well, yeah, it's not a conference final because there's no conferences this year.
Right.
It's just 4 different divisions, and I like that.
Yeah. And so, quite conceivably, you could have, 3 divisions have Eastern Conference teams, per se. I mean, you could have, like, we'll say for Shiggles, Montreal Islanders and Carolina all come out of there and taking on one West team. And they'll be seeded by league standings. So the road through the Cup essentially goes through Colorado for now. In Colorado,
for the time being,
yes, as they are the President's Trophy winners, and they will, have home ice throughout the Stanley Cup final as long as they last. So that's the bracket. That's what we're looking at. But we'll start off in the East with the number 2 seed Washington Capitals and the number 3 seed Boston Bruins. Washington, looked pretty decent, but now after one game, you're worried about as to who's going to be their netminder. Are they going to continue on with Craig Anderson? Solid goaltender. Nothing wrong with that, but
I mean, I have all the time in the world for Craig Anderson. I think he's just a guy that I've always had a lot of respect for, and I think maybe he's never always been like the best goalie, but I think there's something to be said for a goalie who plays with the longevity that Craig Anderson has played, right? Now, obviously, he's the third string guy. I think he turns 40 this year, but to get up like to that age and still be a goalie, I think, because when you look at other guys, like there's been so many, especially over the last decade, you've had so many flash in the pan goalies that were like, that went from being like Stanley Cup goalies to out of the league.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, so to have a guy like Craig Anderson, to me, who's gone through the battles that he did, and and to still be in the league at this point, like, I think that's that's a real testament to him.
And nice to see because
Yeah, for sure.
a heck of a goaltender when he's played. He gave the Sharks fits in 2010 when he was
Yes.
the netminder for Colorado. He was in there. What was it? 2017 with Erik Karlsson, going on that Eastern Conference final run. So
Yeah, Ottawa fans loved him too.
Yeah.
Like, just I remember that was like the one thing, like just how much the fans there loved him. Like anytime when me and Jen went to the game last year, and it seems like a
yes,
freaking eternity ago now.
right.
Like just anytime he made a save, like, guys just hooting and hollering for him. Like they loved him.
No. But Boston went on a good run late. I mean, you get Taylor Hall. Taylor Hall looked pretty decent tonight. I mean, but with Boston going on a run late to get in, kind of throw things up a little bit, as to
Yeah,
as to the Bruins' chances. I mean, I would have said 4 weeks ago, this is a slam dunk. Capitals can get this done maybe 5 or 6, but now Bruins are going to be a tough out, or going to be a tough out, I should say.
Yeah, I have this. I don't have it completely going the distance, but I have this game going. I have this series going 6 games. I don't have I have the Washington Capitals coming out of this series in 6 games. I think Washington's the better team, but Boston always just has that way of like there's a couple teams that I think have some serious upset fuel in them, and Boston I think is absolutely one of them.
Craig Anderson said post-game, well, you can say I'm well rested. I don't think he got much action, if at all, this year. So, fresh goaltender, but is he cold? But
yeah, and I couldn't even believe, and going back to this game here just quickly, I could not believe. I'm sure everyone has seen the Kelly Rudy clip by now, like just such an asinine thing to say.
Okay.
Because he basically said, "Oh, well, it's your job to make sure you're stretched because if you pull a muscle during a game, it's because you didn't stretch enough or something." And I think that's completely like, I appreciate he used to be a goalie himself, so I know like people, whoa, oh shit, the goalie said so. Maybe that's true, but it seems like such a dumb thing. Like sometimes just injuries just happen. Like shit happens, right?
Oh, for sure.
And I couldn't believe that. Like. I mean, I guess for Kelly Rudy, like it's funny because when Kelly Rudy first started, like you could tell he was like too tight with a lot of players because it was like when he first got on Hockey Night in Canada, he was like everyone did great, and now he's like, this guy didn't stretch enough. So I mean, I guess he's come along in that respect, but yeah, I don't know. Like I just thought it was a really stupid thing to say.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. I mean, you can't twist all your muscles around. But at the same time, like that's a tough one to take. Rudy knows. I mean, they're not. Let's put it this way: they're not as flexible as Archer Zerbe.
Right? Yeah, clearly not. I don't know. It seems like such a stupid thing. Like sometimes shit just happens, and it's not because you didn't train hard enough before the game or whatever. It just like shit happens, man. Like it bothers me like that. Just the stupid things like. As far as this game has come, like how that can somehow still be commentary and how you'll still get people going, yep, that's probably true. It just blows my mind.
That was an excellent Mike Babcock impression there, Ian.
Thanks.
Very nice. Who do you have for Boston, Washington? I will take the as much as I want to have Team Chaos like Al Pitt in our DMs.
Yeah,
I'm taking Capitals in 6.
I have Capitals in 6 as well.
Yeah, I think Washington will be a good opponent, but
I think it's going to be a great series, and I think it might even go the difference. It might even go the distance. I hate predicting games in 7. I feel like if you predict games in 7, basically saying I don't know. So I always like if I always a little hint. If I say a series is going to go 7. It's because I honestly have no effing clue, apparently. Because I generally won't pick a series to go 7 unless like I don't know. That's just a stupid thing that I do. It's in my head. It's like it's basically me saying I don't know, and it will happen.
Or as AJ has said on the Pugnalis, I am unsure.
Yeah.
So, uh, moving on to the other Eastern Division series, the top seed Pittsburgh Penguins. God, really? The top seed Pittsburgh Penguins again, going up against the 4 seed in the New York Islanders. Um, things didn't look quite good for Pittsburgh early on, but and I've always thought the Islanders were going to be a little bit of a dark horse no matter where they
Mhm.
finished, and they flirted with first for a bit, but honestly, I know we said I don't know, but this is one series that that could be a little interesting to watch, or very interesting to watch.
Yeah, this one's interesting, and I honestly, I've got the upset here. I like the Islanders. I think Pittsburgh's a hard team to go against, but I have more concerns. And usually when I'm having trouble picking a series, I'm gonna look at their goaltending, and I have a much harder time getting behind the goaltending in Pittsburgh and Tristan Jarry. I don't think Tristan Jarry's been that great this year. So if he ends up playing too many games, I think they're in trouble. Um, I like the Islanders. I like the Islanders in net better, and I like the Islanders. They're a faster team, and I think they're well coached. And I feel like with everything that Pittsburgh went through this season, I just wonder how much they have left in the tank now.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm kind of the sense that I do like Semyon Varlamov. I do like the Islanders lineup going all the way from you know Matthew Barzal,
Yeah.
which probably just triggered Hockey Jerk into the chat right now. Going with Eberle, and I like the grit of an older Cal Clutterbuck.
Hmm.
Thomas Hickey I've always liked, especially in since he's been in Long Island from LA. Uh, but you can't count out Crosby, and you can't count
No.
out Malkin. Um, and if they do decide to go tandem with Tristan Jarry or Casey DeSmith, I mean, uh, you can't count out Pittsburgh. They got to the number one
No, for
ranking
sure.
for
And that's
season.
and that's something that absolutely, like, they did finish. I feel like, they did finish first in that division for a reason, but I feel like, I don't know. I got a feeling about the Islanders, and
Yeah.
maybe that's a really dumb thing to, like, to base your entire thing. Oh, I got a feeling.
Well,
But I don't know. Like, this one, my gut said Islanders, and maybe it's because I haven't watched neither team enough this year, but I just, like, I look at both lineups and I just feel like, this Islanders team, this Islanders team, it's well coached. I mean, so is Pittsburgh, but I just feel like this is a team that should do something. And I don't know. It's a gut feeling I have.
all right.
And maybe my gut feeling is completely wrong, but
I wouldn't really
we will
go
find
with
out.
that. So you're picking Islanders in.
6.
Islanders in 6. Well, I am
Yeah, I think it'll be a series for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to say Islanders in 7. I would say Ray Ferraro assists on the overtime goal, but then I'm aging myself to 1993. I will go Islanders in 7, just because I think it's going to be a toss-up for sure. And they start tomorrow at 9 a.m. On your local NBC station out here on the West Coast, noon if you are over in the East. So that takes care of that one of Pittsburgh and New York. So let's move onward to the Central, where we will, I guess, James Reimer this pitch?
James Reimer this bitch indeed.
All right. The Carolina Hurricanes and the Nashville Predators. Probably the only time these two teams will meet in the playoffs, unless it's for a Stanley Cup. Carolina's been on a roll all year. Nashville hung in there in staved off Chicago for before they went away, and then Dallas tried to catch up but couldn't do it. Damn it, Pavelski, why couldn't you do it? Could have added another list to that thing there. But Carolina and Nashville, what do you think here?
I really like I think what Nashville did this season should be commended, because there was a point in the season, like about halfway through, where everyone's like, "Oh man, what is going to happen to Nashville at the trade deadline? They're going to trade away their whole decor and start the rebuild and everything else." And now here they are in the playoffs. So I think the way they turned around their season is super commendable. Carolina is just too good, though, in my opinion. Like, I don't think, like, Carolina just has a better team. Carolina has better goaltending again, and like the underlying metrics all point to Carolina. I think what Nashville did this season is tremendous. I think like they are a team that is trying to hold the window open with all their might from completely slamming shut, and it's already started coming down, and they just the window shut, they just don't see it yet. So in my opinion, this is Carolina. I don't think this is going to go very long. I have the Hurricanes in 5.
Are you looking at my bracket, my friend?
Nope. I have my own bracket in front of my face. I have the angry Canadian bracket.
Oh my goodness, because I'm in the same wavelength here. I think Carolina's got too much of everything. They have good goaltending, good defense, nice scoring, way to keep Sebastian Aho from going to Montreal. I think that's going to benefit them a bit. You have Mrazek, but if Mrazek falls, then you have Reimer. If you have Reimer, you have, say it for me, because I can't for.
Oh, you're gonna make me do this.
I just can't. But I mean, they have 3 goaltenders that have played fantastic for them.
I know, and I'm trying to remember the goalie's name. It's like something with a bunch of vowels, I'm sure.
Yes, I mean, where's Vanna when we need her for this one, right? But Nashville, yeah, they have some good scoring depth. I mean, you have Arvidsson, you have Snossis. Sissons.
Yes, they have like yes. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that. It's not happening. That's the thing I like, but that's the thing I like with the team. Like, there's a lot of balance on this team. Like, they get offense from throughout their lineup. I think they have probably one of the most under talked about decors in the league. As far as defensemen go, like, I think I really, really like Jacob Slavin and Brett Pesce. I think both of those guys are super good players. And they have still Dougie Hamilton, who put up a bunch of points this year. Like, they're just such a well balanced team, and they're, again, well coached. And as much as I give the Predators a ton of credit for dragging their butts into the playoffs and holding it down, because they definitely had they had Dallas gunning for them for right up to the end. But that's the one thing about limping into that 4th seed, is you have to play that 1 seed, and the 1 seed is usually a very much superior team, and in this case, it absolutely is. The Hurricanes are superior to this Nashville team in every facet.
Yeah. I'll try it here. Alex Nedeljkovic.
Yeah, it works for me.
Okay, cool. Lacey's not here. He's not here to correct us, and nor Jerk, so it's okay. But yeah, so Carolina in 5.
5 for me.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to go 5. Maybe. I'll go Carolina in 5. I think Nashville will get a game. They might sneak another game in, but I think they'll finish it off in 5 for Carolina to move on to the next round, and then in the Central Division, this series, which I love regional rivalries.
For sure.
When it's like Sharks LA, Oilers Flames, look forward to the eventual Kraken Canucks rivalry. But this one I'm really curious of what this could mean to the game of hockey in Florida. The Panthers and the Lightning. The Panthers, the higher seed in this one. taking on the defending Stanley Cup champions, Barclay Goodrow, former assistant head coach Rob Zettler's on the coaching squad here in Tampa, but of course Stamkos, Kucherov coming back into the lineup. How do you prepare for those two guys?
No, that's it, right? Like, if you look at like Tampa, to me, Florida's a really good story this year. The Florida Panthers, I think, surpassed all my expectations for them by a mile this year. It was, and it's funny because again, without like the one downfall to the way this season was you had less reasons to watch other divisions, right? Because like I didn't have to know what was going on in Florida because the Sharks weren't going to play them this year.
Yeah.
Right. So I didn't care. Like there's, you can, you have to prepare for 8 teams, and I have to be able to come on here and talk about those 8 teams. And the rest of them, well, that's, if something super cool happens with them, we have to bring it up on the show. That's great. But, it really killed my desire to watch a lot of other things because I didn't have to be smart on them. We were never going to play them. They were going to come up in passing with something, super crazy happened. Like you fire your coach and your GM and everything, and, and no one knows why. Then you have to come on and talk about that. But, Florida was just kind of under the radar good all year. Because again, they're a team that's not going to get a whole lot of press, regardless of how well they're doing. Like it's always, especially up here, there's with all the Canadian teams playing all the Canadian teams, that's where the focus is in the media up here.
Of course.
So you're not getting, so I think that they've had a really, really good under the radar season. But Tampa's the defending champs. And to me, I look at both these teams and I see one that, is definitely on the rise. And I think Florida can only go up from here. But sometimes you have to get your nose bloody first. And I feel like for Florida, that's going to be this year for them. This is the year that Tampa's probably going to, give them a bloody nose. And then they come back next year with that experience. I have the Lightning in 6.
This one was a tough one for me because it's like I could see Florida, going strong and going into round 2.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, how are you? As long as Stamkos and Kucherov are healthy, and mind you, Tampa did pretty decent without those two guys all season. I mean, granted, Kucherov
and sometimes
was out.
guys coming back into the lineup can screw things up.
Exactly.
I don't think Kucherov and Stamkos, like that's only a boon to get back. But we've seen times where teams grind to get in, and then they get complacent because they get like a star back, and then the guys that were used to being the guys that step up contribute, sometimes they don't. Like there's definitely I don't want to say it wouldn't be an upset because I think these teams are pretty evenly matched,
right.
But I can see a path for Florida through this. But to me, I look at Tampa. I think you have, probably this year's Vezina winner. You look at that. You look at that blue line. I mean, again, a lot of guys that just did this last year. They just won. I'm gonna take the Vezina goaltending, and I'm gonna take the experience.
Yeah, and Bobrovsky, he can be hot and cold.
Yep.
Hasn't exactly been flashy in the playoffs, so there's no guarantee that he'll be great. However, he's got good offense in front of him, with Barkov. I mean, he's probably one of the more underrated guys heard from in the league. You have Jonathan Huberdeau.
Yep.
I mean, you have a number of players that are very highly successful for the squad, and they can make wonders.
And they've got a system that they bought into under Quenneville.
Yeah, and I toyed with Florida in 7 for sure, but I'm gonna go with Tampa in 6 because they have the solid, dependable roster.
Yeah.
Now, but again, like I said, I wouldn't surprise me if Florida were to move on in that series.
No, I think this is one of the more, I think, of the series. I think this is one of the more even series that we're gonna see in the first round. Like I again, I could see a path for Florida through this. I just to me, when I'm looking for, what I think's gonna get you through. I mean, goaltending always gets you through in the playoffs for sure, but I just I just think that this is a team that is been there and they haven't really shown much of a hangover.
Yep, I completely agree. And when have we always said hot goaltender? Hot
Yeah, man.
goaltender is
If
always
Vasilevsky gets hot, it's
watch out.
they're in trouble. Yeah.
And the same thing for Bobrovsky. If he gets on a roll, watch out.
Oh, for sure.
Tampa's gone down to him, 2
Bobrovsky
years
can
ago.
absolutely steal a series. That cannot be stated enough.
Yep, absolutely. So we leave Florida and Tampa Bay, and we go to a team that practically looks like Toronto as we head up to the north in a series that we haven't seen since 1979. The top seeded Maple Leafs, probably one of the bigger favorites to come into the playoffs, going up against a Montreal team who last year surprised everyone by upsetting Pittsburgh in moving on from the qualifiers. Definitely had made some noise. What do you see out of Toronto, Montreal?
It's so fun. It's so funny, right? Because like I feel like everyone thinks that Toronto's going to coast through this series except for Toronto fans. Like everyone but Leafs fans think they're going to just like cruise through this series, and it's like and I feel like I can understand. Like I can go Leafs fans, I understand. Show me where the bad playoffs touch you on the doll. Because as a Sharks fan, I've been there.
Yep.
Right? Like I understand that anxiety over, oh yeah, they'll find a way to screw this up. So I get it completely, because we've seen it, we've lived it. We lived the reverse sweep, we lived the winning the President's Trophy in what was it, 4 or 5 games?
We got sent home in 6 games to Anaheim.
6 games, yeah. Like I understand where did the bad man playoffs touch you on the doll? Like I get that. As a Sharks fan, I completely understand that. However, Montreal didn't win their playoff spot. They just coasted until it was theirs. Like I don't understand how, like, even as fragile as these fans might be, I don't understand how you don't think your team is going to crush this one. Like they should. There's no reason. Like if this Leaf team loses to this Montreal team, I mean, get the popcorn ready, because it's going to be a wild offseason in Toronto, in my humble opinion.
I'm in agreement with you. If Toronto loses this series to Montreal, first off, you lose to Montreal, which is probably one of your biggest Canadian rivals. That's maybe not the Ottawa Senators, or as we say, Ottawa.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a devastating blow for
Oh,
Montreal
yeah.
to go to round 2, and the Leafs are still sitting on 17 years without winning a playoff series.
Yeah, Montreal's only in the playoffs because they weren't quite as bad as Calgary. That's how they made the playoffs. We just sucked less than Calgary. That's why we're in the playoffs. Like Montreal, and don't get me wrong. Look at Carey Price again. Carey Price can absolutely steal a playoff series if Carey Price comes on, and he can still do that for a few games. I mean, he did it last year in that Pittsburgh series. Carey Price can absolutely steal a series, but top to bottom, this Toronto team is so much better than this Canadiens team. This Canadiens team, again, if you look at how they got into the playoffs, their last 10 games, they are 4-4-2, and their last 20 probably wasn't that much more interesting. This is not a team. This is a team that is the definition of backing into the playoffs. And if you back in, you're back out. There's no way. I don't see, other than Carey Price getting hot, there's just no logical way I can see Montreal winning this series which means it'll happen. And
Right?
right, but I am very confident that Toronto is going to get this done. They will get it done in 5.
Yep.
They might get it done in 4. They might get it done in 3.
Ouch. Ouch. I'm
I am so low on this Montreal team. I'm so low on it.
Yeah, I think they're hurting. They'll put Carey Price in, but if he tweaks something, you're going up against Jake Allen, who had a decent year in Montreal.
But he's Jake Allen.
But he's Jake Allen. So he hasn't exactly blown people's
That's like
out of
saying,
water.
right? I mean, like Jake Allen and Martin Jones are very much the same goalie to me right now. Like they don't scare me in a playoff series.
And Toronto is a team built to win the cup. I mean, you have the young stars of San Remo native Austin Matthews,
Yeah,
Mitch Marner,
Mhm.
William Nylander, and then you have the veterans. You have Nick Foligno. You have Wayne Simmons, and some guy named Jumbo's on the team. Oh yeah, Uncle Jumbo. I'm picking Toronto to win in 5, but I also
Yeah.
have a feeling they're going to go a long way. So come on, let's win it for Jumbo.
Team chaos. The other thing too, like Toronto definitely, like as much as I just talked up Toronto, like Toronto does have some serious concerns. Like Toronto has to figure out their power play.
Yeah.
Do they have to figure it out against Montreal? No, but if they're going to go on a deep run, like that's something they have to figure out. Toronto does have some issues. I just think against this Montreal team, this shouldn't be a series.
And as for who starts, you go with Jack Campbell, or do you let Freddie Anderson, get in the back? That to me is a big one.
Yeah, that's tough. I think Jack Campbell's the horse that got you there.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's his net until it isn't, but I don't know. I can understand people being hesitant for that too, though. But I would say, for me, I'm not sure. I would be curious to see what Leafs fans think, but I would probably say it's Jack Campbell's net until it isn't.
Right. So you have the Leafs in 5. I have the Leafs in 5. I'm barring anything crazy happening. I just can't see. I just can't see Montreal pulling this off. And if they do, oh man, get ready.
Get your popcorn.
Yes, we'll trade Hurdle, LeBanc, and Meyer to Toronto for Austin Matthews and
I don't think they'll gut the team. I think it's more front office that will be gutted.
You would think Dubas would be gone if they lose?
Yeah,
which would probably.
Yeah, I don't think and I don't know how. Like I really like Kyle Dubas, and it's funny, right? Like when you're involved, like I know like he's very 50-50 down there with Leafs fans, but they get like, they react really interesting to everything. From an outside looking in, like this team should win. I don't know how you fix it. Like I would not want to walk into there and try and decide what's broken there, because it doesn't, like, other than maybe, you probably want to shore up your goaltending a little bit more. I don't know what's broken there. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Like it's again, like if they don't win this series, like I don't know how you don't do something, but I don't know how to fix it.
Yeah, where do you start? That's the curious one.
I don't know.
Yeah. So that'll do for Toronto, Montreal. I mean, I think Toronto is getting ready for a long run, but we'll see on that. And whoever these teams play, they will get the winner of Edmonton and Winnipeg, a sort of, can you say, classic rivalry. Granted, this is Jets 2.0. Edmonton with, the tandem of McDavid and Draisaitl back in the Stanley Cup playoffs for the first time since 2017. Yes, the qualifiers do not count. Where they beat the Sharks and then, got outmatched from a up and running Anaheim squad in round 2 in 2017. But I think
that series where they beat the Sharks, though, they beat the Sharks on one leg. I don't think that gets said enough. Like how broken the Sharks team was, like the injuries that had piled up. Like I'm not trying to take it away from Edmonton, but like they won it. They beat a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest.
And could you say they're going up against a one-legged Winnipeg squad right now? I mean, Winnipeg has been struggling to finish the season, and thankfully they were already in good shape to have a playoff spot. But Montreal was kind of coming for them a little bit for their number 3 seed too.
Yeah, I mean you're not wrong. They were, I think their last 10 they were like 3-7-0 or something crazy like that. They did win their last 2 games at the end of the season. I don't like this Jets team. I don't know how good this Jets team is in a normally aligned league. But stop me if you've heard this before. Connor Hellebuyck can steal a series.
Absolutely. I mean, Hellebuyck is that good of a goaltender in my mind.
Yeah, like Connor Hellebuck's really good. Like when people are like, when that usually that's my response, right? Because I don't think Winnipeg's defense is that great. So when people are like, "Oh, I love how I can turn anything into a rant about Martin Jones," but humor me for a second. I know people are probably rolling their eyes, being like, as if he turned a playoff preview show into a rant on Martin Jones. But humor me for a second. Like when people are always like, "Oh, well, if you didn't have good defense, what do you expect Martin Jones to do?" And I like Winnipeg's the team that I point to,
right?
And I say, look at Connor Hellebuyck. Connor Hellebuyck has crap in front of him, and he's great.
How dare you insult Dylan DeMello? That's all
I don't care.
saying,
Well, I mean, Dylan DeMello's great. Like he's, but if you look at that defense compared to like a lot of other contending defenses in the league, it's not that great.
Yeah. No. Again, Winnipeg could be a team that can go deep, but I think they're banged up and they've been in a little bit of disarray. That
they can't outscore it. They cannot outscore this Edmonton team.
And they're going to be banking on Connor Hellebuyck to steal the series for them.
Yeah, which, no, it's Connor Hellebuyck has to steal this series or they don't win. That's the reality of it. Like Edmonton, if they have to get into a scoring, a high scoring shoot 'em, last goal wins games, you're not winning against this Edmonton team.
Yeah. No, I think Edmonton's got too much offense. And I think more so a good, decent team around them to get the job done to win their first series that doesn't involve a team called the Sharks since the Ducks in 2006. But yeah, I think the Oilers win it in 6. I think Connor Hellebuyck does steal a couple of games. Christine in the chat, oh crap, I accidentally must have Winnipeg in 5. I must have been drunk when I filled this out. Oh boy, you were probably recovering from those A's rumors, Christine. Gosh, we won't touch up on that because we know Brody's been frustrated with it too. But Winnipeg in 5, but I will say Edmonton in 6 because Connor Hellebuyck can give you those games. And the other thing too, you don't have a wideout in Winnipeg this year.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really. Meh.
I mean, that crowd can give you that extra boost, but especially in Winnipeg.
That's been the same all year. Like this isn't new. They've played how many months without a crowd?
4. But I mean, there's always an extra boost with the crowd in the playoffs.
I don't know. I mean, if you can't get up for these games now, then like, I don't know. It's not like they've been doing this all year. But I agree. I have Edmonton in 6 as well, just because of the Connor Hellebuyck factor. I think that Connor Hellebuyck can probably eke this series out a little bit longer than it probably should go. I think Edmonton should be the clear favorite here, but Connor Hellebuyck can steal some games, and I think he could steal a couple.
Indeed. And so we feel Edmonton will move on and take on Toronto, which, oh man, won't that be a fun one to talk about? Matthews versus McDavid. It's almost like the Hart Trophy will be on the line in this one. But honestly, I think McDavid's already got it, but that's beside my point.
Yeah.
Moving on to the West. And the
So who are the Sharks playing?
The Sharks are going to play Vancouver in the first round, and they will not be seen. It'll be in a rink somewhere probably in Portland, Oregon. No, I'm kidding. All right. The Colorado Avalanche get the President's Trophy on the last day of the season without Grubauer. He's rested, but the question is, will Devin Dubnyk be the goaltender that backs him up? He is currently under COVID protocol. Will he be out in time? Same thing for David Perron, who entered COVID protocol today.
Yeah.
This one, I would have said St. Louis would have a little bit more fight, but Colorado's going to be on a mission, don't you think?
Yes. This is the one series I have going to 7, because as much as I think that Colorado should roll through this, and obviously I filled this out before the Perron thing was announced, St. Louis just there's like I said, there was a couple of teams with just absolute upset fuel in them, and I believe St. Louis is one of those teams.
To which Ryan O'Reilly said, we will win the series.
And Ryan O'Reilly guaranteed they'd win the series, but I don't think that I would go that far. I think Colorado wins the series, but I think St. Louis has a lot of tools to push Colorado and really make a series of this. And the thing with playing the Blues, the other thing with playing the Blues is, Colorado won the President's Trophy, obviously, in their last game, but I might have preferred playing the Wild because, you're not leaving a series with the Blues, especially one that goes the distance, in one piece.
Yeah, they will be a hard, tough team to beat. Either way, I still think, Colorado is too much. Even if Grubauer does get hurt, if they can get Dubnyk back, I think that'll be great. Because I don't think Bennington's played well. And remember, Colorado was all over them early on in the year, and that might still be in their head. So I will go with Avs I'll go Avs in 6 in this one, because I think Colorado is just going to be pumped up and ready to, make amends for last season in the bubble, because they know they were probably the better team going out there. Indeed. So Colorado and St. Louis, but St. Louis, and our friends at Let's Go Blues Radio, sorry, really sorry. But you know what we won't be sorry about is if the Minnesota Wild can upset the Las Vegas Golden Knights. Minnesota, one of the better home teams this season, and former Sharks head coach Dean Evason doing that. I forgot that one. Shoot.
Mm-hmm.
But, Dean Evason doing a fantastic job with the Wild and everything that they have going there. Of course, Kirill Kaprizov is making a name for himself. But, wow. Something else. But Vegas. What can you say about Vegas? They are built and ready for a run, a long-awaited Stanley Cup run. They've been in a drought for 4 seasons.
The long-suffering Vegas Golden Knights fans,
man,
I know.
Oh my gosh, what do you think about this one? This one I think is also evenly matched a little bit, though.
So this one here, if anyone's kind of had the Golden Knights number this year, it's been the Wild. But I feel like that's one of those things. I feel like it's one of those stats that you can throw out for the playoffs. Laurel, cover your ears. I apologize for what I'm about to say, but you're going to want to cover your ears for this. Top to bottom, is there a better team in this playoff right now than Vegas? I know Colorado finished ahead of them, but They've got, if one of their goalies falters, so you have Fleury and you have Panda. If one of those guys falters, you go to the other one, and you don't blink. Forward, this team can score on you in so many different ways. They've got the pest factor in Ryan Reeves, who I think, shouldn't be nearly as effective as he is. But unfortunately, a lot of teams play into his bullshit. Right. And if you play into his bullshit and you start chasing him around, they will kill you. We've seen
it. Sharks.
But we've seen them do it to not just the Sharks. They've done it to a lot of teams. If they do not, if they can, get other teams to start chasing Reeves around, they're gonna have a bad time. I think the Wild have done some really good things this year. Kirill Kaprizov should be the Calder winner by a landslide. But I look at these two teams and I just don't think they match up very well. And I don't want to say that their regular season success against the Golden Knights is a mirage, but it's kind of a mirage, I think. I think that now, it's playoff times. Things are going to get ugly, and Golden Knights are a better team, and I hate it. I don't like it. I hate it all, but I'm not going to come on here and lie to you or give you the team I want to win. Like, these aren't my rooting interests. These are who I think will win the series. And it's going to be the Golden Knights. It's going to be, I think I have them in 6. Yeah, I have them in 6. And I think the Wild will be lucky if it gets to 6.
You're right. I would think it would hopefully get to a 6 game, because then Vegas will fall down and just, no, I'm kidding. I'm wearing the Wild sweater for a reason. I think they've been very well in their home barn. You honestly just need one
Problem
game.
is you have to win one game in Vegas.
And that's the key catch there. And it'll be game 7. I'm going to pick Minnesota in 7.
Bold
indeed. Can Cam Talbot win a series? Maybe.
Oh yeah, Cam Talbot. That's the other thing too. Cam Talbot versus
and as a
Fleury or Panda.
And as a guy who had Kakkonen on his fantasy team and just saw him melt down with the Minnesota, giving up 7 straight goals to St. Louis, it's even a tougher run. If Kaprizov doesn't get his head knocked out like they were trying to do in the last game of the season against these two teams, he can be an impact. I think.
Oh, for sure.
I hate to predict things, but I have a feeling that Kaprizov is going to be targeted, headhunted, and might have a Milan Mahalik incident from 2006 on there, which will make it a lot tougher for my prediction to happen. But never doubt the Minnesota Wild in a first-round playoff series. They have been able to do some things that I didn't think were possible. They are very surprising out the door. They've played all the teams very well, whether it's Colorado, or Vegas, or St. Louis for that matter. I can already tell Ian's like, what the hell is wrong with you? But
no, it's fine. It's bold. I mean, I'm glad we disagree on one series. Right. It just happens to be this one.
Right. But I just have a feeling. And again, I have a feeling that PDB is going to overthink things and screw things up. I'm not. While the roster is built for a champion, and it should have had a cup by now, to be quite honest, I don't see the dominant spark that the Knights had in the past. I just really don't. The Sharks gave the Knights a run for their money in a few games this season, and honestly, they shouldn't even have had that. And so I think the shiny thing is going to come off. I think now that Robin Leonard shaved his head, that might throw things off a bit too. I'm grasping for straws, can't you tell?
That's because that's a reach.
Hey, Laurel likes to reach around, so there you go.
There you go.
But yeah, I think Minnesota can pull this thing off. They won't get past the second round if that's the case. But yeah, I'll go Minnesota in 7. There'll be shades of Andrew Brunette on T-Mobile Arena ice in due time. So,
I really want that Vegas Colorado series though. Like out of all the
oh yeah,
potential matchups, like that's the one I want.
I would. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be. I'd be more than happy to be wrong as long as it's Vegas Colorado, and Colorado wins. But I mean, to have that would be huge in my mind. So we've made our picks. We have one more that we're going to do. So, or well, two more, and
Okay.
we'll do a little more fun games here. All right, and chat, get ready to join in on the fun too. So here's the bracket right here, and so I'm going to ask you, Ian.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me I'm wrong. The dark horse of the playoffs will come out of the North.
Yeah, I think I think that's probably fair. I think when you look at the other divisions, like a lot of people have kind of crapped on the North a lot this year. So I feel like whoever comes out of the North won't be taken as seriously as they probably should be, especially if it's Toronto or Edmonton. I feel like if one of those teams come out of the North, I think they're a threat, and I don't think they should be. I think that they shouldn't be overlooked, depending on regardless of who they play. Like,
All right. If I were to tell you Austin Matthews will be the Conn Smythe winner, what's your percentage that I could be right?
I don't have them going to the Cup final, so that knocks it
Oh,
down. Yeah, I think. What is my? I'm looking at my semifinals here. So yeah, my semifinals are the Carolina Hurricanes and the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I have Carolina going to the Cup final.
okay. So you have Carolina, Toronto.
Yes.
All right. And from the East and the West, who do you have in your Final Four?
My final four, again, cover your ears, Laurel. I have the Vegas Golden Knights defeating the New York Islanders.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. All right. So you have Vegas versus Carolina. Boy, howdy! This
In the
the
Cup final,
in the
and
Cup
I
final.
have the Carolina Hurricanes winning the Stanley Cup
Oh,
this year.
thank God. Okay. I would have hung up on you right now if you said the Vegas Golden Knights are going to
If
win
I had the
Cup.
Vegas Golden Knights winning the Stanley Cup, no, I have the Carolina Hurricanes beating the Golden Knights in the Stanley Cup final.
All right. So Carolina over Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
Or sorry, Carolina over Vegas for this Cup final.
For the Cup final.
Yeah, you have Vegas over the Islanders in the semifinals, along with Toronto going down to Carolina. Okay. For me, I'm going to go with Toronto versus Washington and Colorado and Carolina. And I'm going to have, let's see here, that would put 1-1 and 1-2. So if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong on the math here, that would put Colorado up against Carolina or Colorado up against Toronto.
I'm not sure because my seats are already done.
So Washington is at 77. Carolina will be 80. Vegas and then 77. Okay, so you'd have Colorado against Carolina, Toronto against Washington. I will say Colorado, woohoo.
Mm-hmm.
Colorado and Toronto for the Cup. And
That'd be a good series too.
I think I kind of called that early in the year, outside the homer call for San Jose, but of course that went by the wayside. Toronto gets it done in 7, and I'm going to say it's in overtime in Game 7.
Wow, all the drama. Yeah, and see, so when I went through my bracket, I know some people are like, you have Vegas getting by Colorado, and I think it's going to be a hell of a series. And again, I always default to goaltending. Like if I have trouble picking a series, I go, okay, who's the goalies? And I just think the two-headed dragon in Vegas over Colorado, like that would be my, that's kind of why I went that way. Because I'm sure that some people are like, why would you take, because I know a lot of people are really high on this Colorado team, and so am I. But in a series, in that series, I mean, it's gonna be a good series. I'll be really mad if we don't get that series, to be completely honest. Like, if we don't get that Colorado Vegas series, I'm gonna be super angry.
So, which so I'm going to assume that you rather have, if you had to have one,
Mm-hmm.
you would pick to have Colorado Vegas rather than Washington Pittsburgh one more time.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Although I
I
think
know you
I could
picked
get
the
up for.
Islanders, but
Yeah, I mean, I could get up for. With the way I have my bracket going, it's going to be Toronto Edmonton. I think that would be a good series too, but not like this Colorado Vegas series is going to be stupid if they get there. Like it's going to be like that might be the series to watch in the entire playoffs.
all right. Which former Shark will be the most successful? Easy for me to say. Which former Shark will be the most successful in these playoffs, in your mind?
I'm looking at my bracket here and I'm trying to think. I don't know. Like I just oh, that's good. I mean, obviously like you want to say your heart wants to say Jumbo,
Right.
but Jumbo is maybe just by sheer length of run maybe it is Jumbo because I have obviously Toronto in my semifinals, but like if he's I mean, I guess compared in comparison to other Sharks players, then maybe that wouldn't be so bad. But I mean, if he's the driving force on Toronto, there's a problem.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
That's fair. That's more than fair. I mean, I would I see in here a lot of Burge 7F91, probably PDB, unfortunately. You know,
Yeah, I guess, yeah. There. I mean, that would definitely line up with my thing for sure.
so and I'll ask you this before we start wrapping things up. Worst cup final in your mind?
What would be like
what
the
would be like your
worst?
nightmare cup scenario?
Oh, it's so hard because of the way that the seating works.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if this would. It's hard because I don't know if it would make sense. But I think anything like, I think Vegas Pittsburgh would be like my nightmare fuel scenario. Like of just I don't want to watch either of those teams win a cup.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean? Like I think that would be my nightmare scenario was like yeah, I think like a Vegas Pittsburgh final. And I don't think it could happen. I maybe it could, I'm not sure. Because I'm not sure how the seating would line up to get them there, but that would be like just can they both lose?
Right. I mean, they're at 77. Vegas would
Like
be at 80.
A Vegas Pittsburgh, a Vegas Boston, like there's just a couple teams that I just have no desire to see
Yeah.
win.
No. I'm good with anybody, not in the Eastern Division making the Cup final. To be quite honest, I
I'd
think
be fine. Caps are I like the Islanders. I like the Caps. Like
yeah,
those are fun teams to watch. I don't have any real ill will against
yeah,
them, but
yeah. No. AHA saying nightmare scenario Vegas beating Toronto, just because Jumbo gets there and everything, and oh
um
man, that,
would suck for sure. And I don't think, and that's another one where like I just don't want to. I don't want to hear it from either side after they win. So yeah, like I don't want to. I don't want Leafs fans to be after sitting here, biting their nails over a season with Montreal, going crazy that they're the best team in the fucking
oh,
universe because they won the cup.
but if they win one series, they're going to be like that. Come on now.
Well, fair enough. I mean, that would be Montreal, and then I don't know. Again, it's like show me where the bad playoff man has touched you on the double. They've got their demons. I mean that I don't like that either. But yeah, there's a couple teams like I think Vegas is really good, unfortunately. But do I want to see again? Like this isn't who I want to see when this is who I think will win. And like don't mistake me here. No one would be happier than me, even though it completely implode my bracket to watch Vegas get bounced by Minnesota. Like I will be as happy as anyone to watch that. But I just don't think that's what's going to happen.
When you jump over to the other side, that crazy determination side, we'll welcome
like
you
I
with
don't
open arms, buddy.
I don't want Vegas to do well. I never want Vegas to do well, but they're a team that's built to do well, and I can't deny that. And I don't think this show is as interesting if I come on and just tell you who I want to win rather than, give you a reason why this team's going to win other than, well, they're Vegas and we hate Vegas, so F them. Like, I mean, I'm sure some people would go, yeah, but then people would be like, yeah, but is that analysis? I don't know.
Yep, I agree. So with that, we will get out of here. In case you missed anything, or do you want to watch this again, check us out on tealtownusa.com or your favorite podcatcher, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, or YouTube, Spotify, you name it, you love it. We have it all here at tealtownusa.com. Of course, this is not the only thing that's going to happen on here, so we'll be back after every round during the Stanley Cup playoffs to tell how horrible our picks are or whatnot. Maybe Kevin will stop getting off of his Peloton while eating his dinner to join us. And the same thing, with Pucknologists. Their season finale is tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Pacific. So, of course, check them out. They will have a recap of the Sharks season along with making their own picks for it. And maybe we'll kidnap, Jerk and AJ and maybe Rocket to prognosticate their picks on this one. Yeah, it's been a fun one indeed, Ian. It's always fun to just take a shot in the dark a little bit. To
also just want to say as far as like things upcoming, no set and solid date yet, but Teal Town is coming back on this channel at some point sooner than later. So stay tuned for that. As soon as we hammer down a date, I will make sure that you're all aware so that we can all be here,
Right. Yes. Teal tinted glasses will be making a return. I look forward to that. Of course, the more hockey talk, the better. And I appreciate that indeed. Like I said, Pucknologist tomorrow at 7 p.m. While they break down the Sharks season. Of course, there is one more thing we do need to do before we get out of here.
Uh-oh.
Ooh, Barracuda!
That's right. Your San Jose Barracuda, along with the rest of the Pacific Division, are in a play-in for the Pacific Division tournament, which is, I think, a great idea. That's the only division that's doing a tournament here.
It's a great idea depending on who you asked. Apparently, they pulled a bunch of players on whether they wanted to do it or not, and it was like 133-8 were not in favor.
And yet they're still going on with it.
I can explain that. So what happened is, according to what I read, was basically when they were doing their return to play plan for this year, they basically said that the way they had the contract written up was that in order to get more of their salary, because I think they're only making 50% of what they would normally make this year, and I'm assuming this is for players that are on AHL only deals, not two-way deals with NHL clubs, that basically in order to get at least 50% of their money, they had to agree to playoffs if the AHL decided to do them. Now, because of the logistics and everything else, they ended up only doing it in the Pacific Division. So if they had voted no to potential playoffs at the start of the season without having a set plan, I think they would have made something like 42 or 43% of their money this year instead of the 50%. So they basically, even though really no one wants to do it, they're stuck because of the deal they made at the start of the season and their return to play.
Interesting. Very, very interesting indeed. And it's a kind of an interesting format. It's similar to I would kind of say it's like the qualifying round last year's Stanley Cup playoffs. So here's how it goes down, and this is pretty much breaking like not even hot off the press 10 minutes ago. The Tucson Roadrunners will take on the San Jose Barracuda in the play-in round, and the winner will take on the Henderson Silver Knights, who are the top seed. So here's how it's going to go down. This Tuesday, May 18th, the Roadrunners will take on the Barracuda, and that game will be scheduled at 1 p.m. Yes, that's right, folks. The play-in round for Tucson and San Jose will be at 1 p.m. That game will be at the brand spanking new Ducks practice facility in Irvine. So the winner of that will move onward, and then they will play the winner of Ontario, the Reign, and the Colorado Eagles. So the Kings and the Avalanche affiliate. That's a 7:30 p.m. start on Tuesday. The winners of those games will play each other in the play-in final on Wednesday night at 7 p.m. in Irvine. The winner of that goes on to take on the Henderson Silver Knights in Las Vegas. So the CUDA need to get past the Roadrunners, and if they do that, then they would have to take on the winner of Ontario and Colorado, and then they would get on to Henderson and take on the Silver Knights and Joel Ward. The other Pacific Division semifinal would be the Bakersfield Condors and the San Diego Gulls. That series will begin on the 21st already. The series that involves Henderson is to be determined once everything settles off with the play-in round. So that being said, we will reconvene and we will make the return, I think we can say now, of Barracuda After Dark following Tuesday's game in the afternoon. We're roughly going to go about 3:30 there. You're going to have they will have a lot of the number of players, including Bergman, Chekovich, Hamiluk, Shellman, Koshinash, Melnichuk, Pashnuk, and True. They've all been assigned to the Barracuda for next week's play-in tournament. Of course, the Barracuda have been off for a bit already, so get some.
I'm curious to see who they go with in net.
Yeah, I'm curious as to who they go in net and how fresh are these guys going to be. I mean, I don't know how much practice time they're going to be allotted, but should be an interesting one.
Yeah.
So be on the lookout for that. So your schedule for the week coming up, you have Pucknologist tomorrow at 7 p.m., Barracuda After Dark following Roadrunners and Barracuda. It should be about 3:30, depending on everything. And then if they win, of course, we'll be back with you on Wednesday night. And then I look forward to the return of TTG.
Yes. Time pending, but it's definitely coming back.
Yeah.
It's just an issue of just getting all our schedules to align and getting it going. And I'm hoping we got some cool plans. We're definitely playing around with some different formats, so I think it'll be interesting. If nothing else, it'll be interesting, I hope.
Awesome. I look forward to that. And if anything newsworthy and breaking for the Sharks happens, we will make sure to get on the air for you on here. So the most important thing, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Of course, give us a thumbs up if you haven't already, and hit that bell. That bell is so important.
Did I get a thumbs down because I proved I could turn anything to a Jones rant? Please tell me that's what the thumbs down is for. I could turn even the most random show into a Jones rant. There you go.
Okay.
I hope that's what the thumbs down is for. If it's because of my thoughts on Vegas, I understand that as well. Yeah. I will accept that.
And of course, like AJ said, we're going live for the draft lottery. Absolutely, we will have live. We are going to be all over the draft lottery, and then of course the expansion draft and the draft, and of course AJ and I love breaking down the schedule. which is always a fun one. And, of course, Free Agent Frenzy. Well, we'll be sitting here for 6 hours hoping the Sharks do something. So those are our plans. Feel free to join us. If not, join us anyways. Damn it.
Yeah.
So the conversation now continues on the Discord channel. AJ put the link in there, so if you want to join us over there, go for it. But until tomorrow night for Pucknologists, hang on there. I pulled a Landy. Keep it real. Keep it teal. Keep it real teal. Have a good night, everyone. So much for my perfect show. Good night, everyone.
Oh.